CC 2025. Aha. Okay. Only the fearless.
Of course it is, Dabi.
Yes! Dabi in the building.
Hello, guys.
This is a star-studded arena, yeah? Do you want to, because I can't see.
Yeah, don't worry. They come together. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, give it up to a four-time national champion, a beast in the making. Once you see him on the chessboard, everybody gets silent. But if you see him outside the chessboard, he's so cool and calm, studied. I think it was the very first one I saw that was playing the Tromposki whenever he brings the bishop out. I was like, which kind of opening be this one again? It was crushing people left, right, and center. Please give it up for FIDE Master Adebayo Adegboyega, popularly known in Nigerian chess as either the B or small b or little b. Good day, sir. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, good afternoon. It's good morning here, so it's probably good afternoon where you're at. Hello, everyone. Quick correction: it's five-time national champion.
I'm so sorry.
Four.
Apologies. Five-time national
Yes,
champion.
it's fine.
Apologies,
Yes.
sir. Apologies, sir. Yeah, we missed you down there.
Dabi,
Yeah, at a point you lose count, actually.
Yeah, I was about to say that, and I'm surprised you still keep count.
But the one thing that I would note, I've been looking at the results from this tournament, and things are a lot different. I mean, round 8, the leaders are tied on 4.5/8. That's not something we're used to. By round 8, you probably have like somebody on 6/8 or 7/8, and then everybody's playing catch up. But with so many people struggling, I mean, it means everybody is so close in strength that you can't even tell what exactly is going on. Everybody is just so super strong, so super prepared.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Techlaf, GM Techlaf,
Yeah?
you can see FM Dabi, your good friend.
Alpha, nah? I don't see Am last year. We don't meet in person last year. Oh.
Yeah, we saw somewhere in Manhattan. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't be Manhattan, nah? Na Queens.
Oh yeah. Okay. Well, okay. Yeah, that's true. Because you have to cross the bridge, but it's just actually at the boundary. You just cross the border, and then it's Manhattan, Queens. Yeah, you're correct.
You see, when you're strong players always meet up. Well, one day when
I totally
when I'm as
agree
strong
with
as
you.
this, maybe I'll also meet up with you guys. All right.
But you have to understand that, strong as you think I am, where Powell was playing, they told me to please step out and go watch the game online.
You're being too modest, Davi.
All right. So what's going on? I've missed quite. I've not tuned in this morning yet. So
Yeah, we're trying to catch up with
Guys, I have to go in like 1 minute or 2 minutes. My lesson is starting in 10 minutes.
okay.
all right.
Okay.
So let's quickly pick GM Techlab's mind a bit before he has to leave us. So let's see, castles, h3, h6, b3, trying to undermine the queen side. Yeah.
Right, that's a very typical idea.
Yeah, but I'm a bit surprised. Are you supposed to allow this as black? This opening up of this diagonal.
On the other hand, it's not a disaster for black. Maybe he should have retreated the queen before casting. Maybe he should have retreated the queen so that after b3, he can mate it with b5, right?
Yeah, so after maybe h3, h6. Okay, let me go back. After maybe before castling, yeah, to meet maybe.
No, okay, castle was fine, but after h, okay, here, yeah, it's also okay.
Yeah, so that-
Queen d8, b3, b5.
Yeah,
Maybe that would make some more sense.
yeah. But there was one idea I once tried against Odeon. I don't know if it's here. Like after this castling, I was able to play a move like bishop knight to b4, but I can't remember if it was here. The idea was that if it captures, then I was able to play a quick rook c8, bishop times b4 and put pressure on him. But I can't. I was the preparation I made against Odeon some time ago. Can't remember if
See compensation, huh?
Yeah. There was a lot of compensation. I think I got my piece back. There were too many pins, and this queen was awkward. I think it was night before I played. I can't remember where. So if someone wants to do, someone can just check it out. But yeah, that was a preparation I made when I was still playing this line as black. All right, so Rook FC8 was played, Queen B2, Knight B4.
Knight B4, and this is basically what happened.
How about that?
What was the threat? Okay, Rook straight to the 7th rank.
Yeah, Rook to C2. Okay, so similar ideas it seems. Yeah, and I was able to get the bishop pair. But Odion willingly gives this up sometimes, and then he plays some strange moves. I think maybe C4 or something, and then he's always good. What do you think about this, Teklaf? You like this bishop?
I feel like the position is more or less equal. Black's got his bishop per, but White doesn't have any weaknesses. The F4 bishop penetrates the entire diagonal. There is also Knight E5. There are some ideas with Knight E5 in the or they can also try to play Knight E1 to displace the bishop. Maybe C4, C5 would make some sense as well. So I guess the position is really equal. And Odion is playing very, very fast. It's move 20, and he has 91 minutes on the clock. Okay, he's blitzing out. He kind of gives it kind of feels like, okay, of course he is not like in his preparation. It's not like I guess it's not his top preparation, but considering that he's been playing this for like 25 years, it might have happened in his games before, so maybe he knows. I guess he knows what he's doing. So it's fine.
Yeah, like I said.
Okay, guys, make a japa.
Oh wow. Okay. That's not a problem. Thank you very much, GM Teklaf. If you can join us at any point in time again, please feel free.
Like 8.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye. Teklaf.
Thank you.
Dabi, how are you, sir?
I'm fine.
That's good to know. Thank you very much for honoring our call. And Dabi, before we start even dealing with these games, because this is where I mostly come in, Nigerian chess players, we lose with most of the history lessons that we are supposed to know, or stories or occasions. Most of it we don't know, right? Please, can you please walk us a little bit from the time you started playing chess till this present moment, your mentors, the people that you met along the way before you started dominating? Because at first they usually say a player will start from maybe no player started strong, when you were even being mated through the scholars meet before you started taking on people. Let's just walk us through that story, your story from when you started.
That's a very... Yeah, okay, thank you, Chief Wills. But that's a very, very long story that you're asking for. We're talking of a 40-year-old history. That's a lot of events to put in this space. But we can maybe look at some highlights. Okay, so unlike most people, I actually learned chess by watching people. So basically I didn't have somebody say, this is how the pieces move. I had my elder brothers. I think my elder brother was around to collect the John Powell award. They played chess. They were much older, and I'll watch them make the moves. So I figured out this is how all the pieces move. Okay, the knight goes this way, the bishop goes that way, the rook goes that way, the pawn goes that way. So I was just watching them, and I basically picked up the rules of the game from watching them play. And then, so from early on, because I didn't really have somebody to put me through how pieces go and things, I guess that was how I got a bit lucky. So while I was learning from my elder siblings, I wasn't really asking them for their thoughts on the game or how the game should be played. I just, I laid my hands on a very, very old book, some games of Zukertort and Steinitz, and so it was basically a conference in 1840 something. So I essentially looked at every single game in that book. So I already got very, very early exposure to the classics. And incidentally, like I played one game one time against Bumi Olakpe where I went G5, and young GM was commenting, and he was like, "Oh, this must be preparation." And I saw that comment, I laughed a bit, and I said, "Yes, it is, but it's actually preparation from an 1843 game." That was why I saw the idea actually was from 1843. So I actually got into studying chess very, very early because the books were essentially my coaches. There were not a lot of them, but the few ones that I could get, sometimes very old, sometimes not the cutting edge of theory, but I learned reading a lot. Then my second book was probably Michael Stein's Simple Chess. So he laid out a lot of modern chess theory. As at then, we're talking in the 80s. So he laid out modern basic principles, you know, pawn structures, the minority attack, playing chess simply, basically. And I sort of just like that. I just stuck with that. Chess is meant to be played with the simplest schemes. So we just I just follow Occam's razor. Actually, if it's simple, then it's beautiful. So and so by the time I got out to play, my first experiences were from Yaba Tech. I still remembered I just got into JSS 1, so I was quite little. Then my cousin Thomas Alika would invite me to come over to Yaba Tech. He was probably the first person that would say, okay, showed me a couple of things. They were playing a game, like I said, I was watching them play, and they had this rule then. If you had just your king, you have only 10 moves to checkmate your opponent. So they were playing this king and rook position, and the king was running, the rook was running, and they got to move 8. It was 2 moves to go, and they declared that the position was going to be drawn because there's no way to find checkmate in 2, because they were trying to cut the king off along the file. And then I told them no, that you could actually cut the king off along the rank and you'll actually get checkmate in 2. And they were a bit shocked, like, how would you even know that? And I was like, yeah, I know. I've been watching you guys play, and I've been reading while you guys are just playing. So I came home from school one day. My cousin was playing with my elder brother, and he placed this king in check, and it was like, oh, you can't make that move. And then my brother was like, why can't he make that move? And I'm like, your king is in check. And they're like, wait, what? So he said, okay, just come in, play some chess. I sat down, and then he arranged bishop c4, queen h5, and then got the checkmate. And then he was like, oh, I thought you would see that. Well, I had not seen the scholars mate before, so I got checkmated that one time. But that was about the last time. Not the last time I would lose to queen h5, bishop c4, because I played some games and I actually discovered that there are very playable lines in that position. So I got to Yaba Tech, and then I played quite a number of games because it was not very common to see a person around that time. I mean, I was just in my early teens. It was very uncommon. Most people will start playing chess around their college days, you know, universities or the technical school years. That's the time people play. So to find a GSS 1 guy playing chess with all that knowledge was a bit strange. I remember the strongest player in school then was Sonny Preston. There were some other strong players. Sonny Preston was a very strong player. Onwere was also very frequent then. Onwere, the naval officer, used to come around. And then there were all these bazaars. They had bazaars then. And then they will invite me to come play. And then people will pay a token, and they will say, come on, you pay a token, you win if you can win, you win prizes if you can win, but you're playing against the small boy. So I'll just keep beating people game after game after game after game after game, and people will want to put more money because they can't believe that this small boy will just beat them, because it's just not normal in those days. Not like today where the young ones are they're so strong. And then so I got into my very first national tournament was Concord. This was before then I'd played the secondary school games. That was in 1989. Yeah, we played the secondary school games in 1989, where I just got like a 10 out of 10. And I remembered was it the 9th or the 10th round, Eugene, the arbiter was arbitrating then. And then he'll be like, how was your game? And I'm like, oh, of course I won. And they will be like, you're so cocky. I'm like, but these guys are not playing chess like it should be played. So I got into the first tournament in Concord. That was the last Concord, I think, that was held. I played in the opens category, and I had this position against Obioma Onoa. He played a French winner. I was doing so well. I was just crushing the game. So, but he had about 3 or 2 minutes left on his clock. I had 15. So I started playing very fast, and I responded very fast because I didn't actually know what the clock was really meant to be in a tournament. So I felt if your opponent plays, you have to respond. If he plays, you have to respond. Somehow he turned the tables. He won the game. I think I came 5th in that tournament or so, from maybe 2nd or 3rd or 1st to like 5th. And then I got an invitation to come to play, I think in the African juniors. But my dad would be like, I think it was supposed to be in Ethiopia. There was this very huge AIDS scare then. And then my dad would be like, okay, who was going to be with you if you're going? And like, the NCF had money enough to only pay for one person. There's no way I can, but they will just put me on the flight. Somebody will pick me up there. So my father was like, there's no way I'm sending this 13 or 14-year-old boy to Ethiopia with all these AIDS scare around then. So these were still the very, very, very early days. So I couldn't go into that tournament. But I was invited to the national camp. I went to the camp that was at Bode Thomas, and then we had all these legends of the game seated, BD, Folidon, Odeon. Everybody was seated. They were listening to a lecture from Emmanuel Omuku. And I mean, it's so I went into the camp and then I listened to the lecture, and I was like, is this what they're learning in national camp? I know all these already now. Come on, guys. What are you guys doing here? But of course, I later realized that, you build up from these basics. You know, to me, it was just like this is not a lot of knowledge that these guys are sharing here. But later I realized, this is how they actually do this stuff. You build from these simple things and you learn how to make big things from the very simple things. So my for preparation to that African Juniors tournament, Bola Dada was the secretary of the NCF. Then he had recommended that I should go to Idi Araba to meet Olomola. So he just said, Olomola, Idi Araba. I used to come from Igbobi then. I used to live at the National Orthopedic Hospital. So I just take a ride to the stadium. So he says I should go to meet Olomola, go get some training there. Olomola will always be willing to help. And they said Idi Araba. I didn't realize that when they say Idi Araba in those days, they meant Luth at Idi Araba. Yeah. So I went all the way to Idi Araba and I was asking for Olomola there, asking everybody at the bus stop. I'm looking for Olomola. It's supposed to be close to being a doctor. They're like, how do you find Olomola at Idi Araba? Eventually, once I mentioned doctor, people said I should go to Luth. So I took a bus back, or I walked back actually. I walked back from Idi Araba down to Luth. And then I got to the gate. Once I got to the gate and I actually asked for Olomola at the gate of Idi Araba, they're like, okay, just go to so room. So I went to the room and Olomola was like, yes. And I was like, okay, I'm from the National Stadium. I'm from BD. I'm supposed to represent Nigeria at the African Juniors. Once Olomola had chess, he was just like, he didn't even ask me much about what have you been going through for the whole day. He just puts down a chessboard in front of me and he played a Grunfeld. That time. He just blew me off the board in less than 15 or 20 moves. I could tell in his mind that you're the one that is supposed to represent the country. I could tell that, look, I know, old boy, you are not it, or you are not him. So he just, after the game, he just gave me a book. Well, I was happy. It was a Gary Kasparov book. That was my first Gary Kasparov book. By this time, I also had a lot of books from some of my my brothers and their friends. There's this guy that had a very huge library, and he gave me some books. One of the books that he gave me was the complete games of Anatoly Karpov. Wow. He had about all the games from O'Donnell, or was it O'Connell? He had all the games of Karpov up to the leading to the World Championship, his matches against Korchnoi, every single game that he had played. The golden years of Anatoly after the World Championship, that he was just beating everybody.
Would you say
the very, very positional play? So I was reading this, and then Olomola gave me this Gary Kasparov book. So I had this Kasparov book. So it was just a good thing, because I had a mix of these two diametrically opposed sides of the spectrum. They are just two. They are on opposite ends. And I looked at these games of Gary, and they were great games. They were beautiful attacking games. But I looked at the amount of work that one has to put in to understand and play chess like this, and the risk. And one of the games that actually impressed me the most, going back to Chief Will's introduction, was a game that he played against, I think, Van der Steren. He played a game against Van der Steren. It was a Trompowski. So Van der Steren had gone Bishop G5, Kasparov had gone C5 and Queen B6. Van der Steren had played Bishop G5, Bishop F4, and Bishop C1 in the opening. And I mean, I've seen Kasparov crush a lot of players. He won that game very nicely, made some sacrifices, but it was a huge fight. So my conclusion was, I mean, if you can make 3 wasted moves with your bishop to land it back on C1, and it will take Kasparov this much energy to beat you, then this opening must be sound. It's just a question of finding what is wrong with the setup that he used. So that was how I picked up the Trompowski. Was actually from a loss that Kasparov inflicted on it. This was that was very, very, very early in the 90s. Okay, so back to the story now. I've read a lot of games from Gary. I've looked at his games that he won Karpov, and I've looked at all of Karpov's games. So I decided that, okay, I think at this point, a positional approach, even if the position is very tactical, there will always be a positional solution at the end of the day, which incidentally was one of the things that I think Magnus Carlsen, because a lot of people were very, very critical of this style. They felt it was too drab, it was too dry. But I think Magnus had already put this to rest to show that this positional, tactical, whatever, but leaning more on the positional approach was a very, very good way to go about chess. But this came like 20 years after I've been playing like this. And it's also very important to note that this allows you a bit more room to stay on top than would a very tactical approach. Tactical approaches are very, 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 very difficult to maintain. Yeah, they are very, very nice, and they give you a lot of great wins. But to me, I think it's very hard to stay on top if you are more tactical than positional.
Dabi, are you not a bit biased here?
I am. Already I am. I am. And I think I'm also historically justified. Yeah, so we had Karpov with about how many? I'm looking at the 70s now, all through to 1985. Then we had Gary Kasparov, who used the tactical approach and then just took out Karpov, which was very close, and then he reigned for the amount of time. And then we had Kramnik versus Anand, and then we had Magnus Carlsen. If you put these guys together, let's just rule out guys like Topalov and things. If you put these guys together, I think the positional player Well, you've got to understand that there is no such thing as an absolutely positional or an absolutely tactical player, because it's a mix of the thing. But there will always be a leaning. You know, players will always have, you'll always have a leaning and the way your mind wants to resolve a position. And I think in light of putting styles into universal styles into tactical leaning or positional leaning, I think the positional players actually have they probably done a lot more.
But
like there was a particular, I'm talking of in terms of reigns now, in terms of length of reign.
No, I understand that. But you omitted some people. For example, you omitted Alekine and Capablanca.
Yeah, I said in the 70s. That's why I said in the 70s. I ruled out. So I ruled out, say, Botvinnik versus Alekine but even if you put it, because if you put guys like Alekine, Tal, and then you add up guys like Petrosian and add up guys like it's still all okay. Sure. But I think it's much easier to defend that way. But it's not like you're not good. I remember there was a game, I think this was in Nuga. This was in Nuga. I played a game against Odeon. And then Odeon had played this move that wins an exchange. And was going to win an exchange, and I was going to get a pawn for it, but I was going to get the pair of bishops and a pawn versus so I was going to get 2 bishops, 1 knight versus 2 rooks and a bishop. And I calculated that, okay, you were going to win the exchange, but at the end of the day, my compensation was going to be extreme. It was going to be very, very huge. And by the time he played his combination to win, I launched my own, like, this thing at the tail of the scorpion, and then got this very fine looking position, and turned out that winning the exchange was not going to win the game. And then we dragged on this game for a while, but the game eventually ended in a draw, but it was a very, 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 very nice game.
Yeah.
Okay, so now apart from although that's another story, because in that game, game was played in round 1. We drew that game, and then we both went on to, that was on board 1 in round 1. We both went on to win the next 9 rounds to finish the tournament with 9.5 out of 10, and we didn't win the gold medal. Neither of us won the gold medal. The gold medal was won by Tobuye Christopher, who I think finished with 7/7 or 6/6 or something like that. And then so it was very. So all he had to do was just avoid UI, avoid Ilorin, and avoid Ife. So he just took out the rest of the challenges on board 1, and he won a gold medal. So that's another story. There are a lot of stories like that. So I think my first big win was in the national juniors. We had some very, very strong masters players in that tournament, including I am Thomas Okpara wasn't playing, but I am Kenneth Ode was playing, who was a former African juniors. We had I am Oladapo Adu, then it was not an I am. We had Okechukwu Iwu, but these guys were already playing in the national team. I was just playing I was just coming in. I was playing chess from GS1, so I was, as in tournament wise. So I was coming in my shots, and I mean I was playing a bit stronger than people in that category were playing. And so people took notice, like, oh, okay, who is this guy? They're like, oh, that's Bayo. And then they were like, Bayo, there was the Bayo, Babalola, and then Coach B. And then they were like, oh, okay, so let's just separate them, This will be the small B, that will be the big B. So that's how Bayo became big B till today, and I still get the small B. I still get small B appellation. People have changed it to all sorts, little B, da B, all sorts. But for a lot of guys, most of the people that know me as Small B were not born by the time I was being called Small B because I was small. Most of them were not even born then. So, but that's how that name came and stuck. And then so my first big win was in that junior tournament. I played against Kenneth Ode, who was a French winner. And then it got to G7. I played Bishop F6, and they had this very nice move. I had not seen this tactic before, but I that was the first time I saw it, where a queen lands on B2 to try to capture the rook. I'd seen that I could play my bishop to C3 to stop the capture of the rook and then use the time. But he came up with this very nice move, bishop to B4, pinning the bishop that was attacking the queen that was attacking the rook.
Ah, okay.
Eventually I had to give up, was it a pawn or so at the end of the day, and the game went on to a draw. I played the game against Okechukwu Iwu. I think I won that particular game. I mean, Iwu was also a junior, but he was already in college, in the medical school. He was built to get into the national team very soon. Also played a game against IM Oladapo. He was not an IM then, and he had this very, very strong attack, and that's one of my biggest fortes since then. People always put in a lot into attacks, but I could always find a way to defend. So he had a knight on, it was white, he had a knight on G5, he had a knight on G6, and he had a queen on H6. So it was threatening checkmate on H7 and checkmate on H8. And all my pieces looked so far away from the king, but there was a very nice combination that allowed me to maybe make one sacrifice, get my queen to E5 with check, and get the queen to G7, which basically just kills off the attack. And then I managed to go ahead and win that game. So I came second in the tournament behind IM Ode, but I was then that was when I was chosen to play to represent the country. I mean, based on my age and everything. So that was my first big break, and then coupled with my success at the Concord tournament, that was my first Opens tournament. Actually, I was just a JSS1 player. I was given a ticket to play in the Masters category. I was given a ticket to play in the Masters category. I was very young, and I was one second, please, somebody get me my charger. So I was young, and I was invited to play in the Masters category. So I went to play my first tournament in the Masters category at the Warri Oil and Gas WOG then. This was in 93. Yes, it's plugged. It was in 93, and this was exciting for me because I just played my first tournament. I'd won something. I played in the national juniors. I'd won something, so it was quite exciting. I was. It's plugged in the room. I was brimming with confidence. I was like, okay, I mean, this is easy. This is easy way to just make a living right here. Who even needs to go to school? Just keep winning all these tournaments here and there. So I went to Warri Oil and Gas, traveled with Kunle Elegbede, with Madueke, yeah. Give me 1 second. I need to switch positions so that I can plug my computer in. Traveled with Madueke, and then stayed one night at the Shell compound. But I played in that tournament, and it was not easy. It was not the same as I had experienced, because now I'm playing in the Masters category. I had this position against Kenneth Ode. I'd gotten a great bishop on G3 that couldn't be chased. I had the rook on the 7th rank. His pieces were tied down, but I couldn't make any headway. Eventually, he went on to win the game. He was totally cramped, totally in a bind, but he went on to win the game. I played against Admiral Ainla, retired. He played the French, busted me completely. I was just losing game after game after game. Okay, I won a game against some. I drew a couple. I finished with 3/6, which was enough to keep me in the Masters category. But that is not what I would have liked, because now I played one tournament in the Opens category and I played a Masters category event, and now I've been promoted to become a master, probably the youngest master that will have in the country then. But it was not easy because I was no longer winning, and I was a young man that really needed the wins. And then I also had so by now I'd gone into the University of Ilorin. Bumi Olape also came to school, and we're playing in most of these tournaments together. He was a year or so older than me. But he was playing in the Opens category. I was playing in the Masters category. We go to the school, we play in the butteries, and we play games, 10 games, I'll beat Bumi like 10-0 sometimes. He'll be shocked. It's impossible. Then we go to tournaments. I'm in the Masters, he's in the Opens, he's winning the Opens. 7 out of 7, I'm struggling to keep afloat in the Masters. But we're going back to school. I'm winning almost every game. Sometimes he'll win, sometimes I'll win, sometimes I'll just win totally. And it was a bit difficult because he's getting huge successes. He's winning a lot of money and he's able to keep up. But I'm struggling with these strong guys. Yeah, you might be becoming strong, but you're not getting any. You're not getting anything
for it. Yeah.
Yes, it was really, really frustrating. And at a point, I was just like, I'm stopping chess. That I'd come to the conclusion that there's no way, because I put in so much study, but it was impossible to just win games.
Who's that talking?
So one night, this was around 1 a.m.
Iti.
I just stood up from the room, the middle of the night. I just went down. There's this place we call Shaba. It's a borehole, hand pump borehole. It was huge then in school because that was the biggest source of water. So I just sat down there. There was absolutely nobody else there. I just sat down. I had to start thinking about my life choices. I think I'd made the wrong choice to be in this game because it was impossible. So one of my friends then, Roland, wrote to me. He walked down and he was like, "What is wrong? What is wrong with you?" And I'm like, "There's no way. I can't keep this up anymore. I have to focus my energy and put my drive somewhere else. This is an impossible game because it is impossible to beat these Masters players." And Roland is like, "What are you talking about? You drew a game against Bimbo Adelaja. They used to call him the Shaolin Master 1. They call me the Shaolin Master 2. I mean, he's a positional attacking player too. He doesn't really go out all out attack, but he wants to attack you, but it's just building up and then it just eventually strikes. Then you've drawn a game against Dashe. You've beaten Bimbo. I mean, you've beaten Bimbo. Have I beaten Bimbo Adelaja? No, I drawn a game against Bimbo Adelaja. But I think I won a game against him eventually. You've gotten a win against Odion. You've gotten a win against Dakwadu. You've gotten a win against Okechukwu Iwu. And it's like, although these are separate results, if I have this result, I'll be thinking of retirement, not resignation. I'll be thinking about retiring. This is a dream. You got a draw against Dashe. How can you get a draw against Dashe and you're telling me you want to give up chess? It's impossible. Are you out of your mind? So I was like, okay, you know what we'll do? I'm going to give this like 3 to 6 months. So I just did some absolutely crazy stuff. Then I was studying for like 16 hours every day for like 3 months. I was just studying anything I could lay my hands on. It doesn't really matter whether it's the Catalan, the Scandinavian. I don't really care. Every single thing that there was to look at in chess, I was looking at it. It doesn't matter. I'm going to the library. I have a chess book. I was just chess. I don't even know whether I was having time to breathe. I was sleeping. I was waking up in the middle of the night analyzing chess. It was a chess book in the toilet. It was, you don't even have, whether you're even going to the bush to do your stuff. There was a chess book. I was just studying, reading like my life depended on it. And so I was going to, before I wasn't playing much chess then. I was just studying everything. Botvinnik. I was studying Keres. I was studying everybody. I was studying everybody, everything. Looking at the AVRO tournament in 1953. Looking at everything, anything I could lay my hands on. Everything and anything. There wasn't a lot of material, but everything I got my hands on, I was reading. It was Keres Endgame. It was everything. I was reading hours upon hours upon hours. I was reading some British chess magazines that they were giving some ridiculous line. This English defense with F5, e takes F5, Queen H5, G6, Bishop G7, Pawn takes H7, Knight F6, and then King F8, G takes, King takes G8. And then I read all this stuff that I don't even know where I'm going to apply them. The Benonis that I don't even play. I only started playing some of these things like 20 years later that I read donkey years ago. And I will be analyzing. I was analyzing positions with Leonard Etukakan when he was studying with me or studying at my place, and he plays the white side, and we're playing some lines in the Benoni, and I was showing him ideas and how the position is played, and he's like, "I've never seen you play this. You've never ever played this." And I'm like, "If you know how many hours I've spent on this position, you'll be shocked. I've never played it in my life, but I've got close to it. I don't even know whether I don't know how many hours I have on this position, and I've never even touched it before in my life. But don't just worry about it. I have the ideas because I've studied in all kinds of directions, and in those days I used to say, people will say they are taking you to the bush out of the books, and I will smile. I'll say, "Oh boy, your bush is in my book. Your bush is in my book." don't just bother about it. I'm still in the books, even when you think we're both in the wild. So I go to try and play this tournament, NBL. There was not a lot of tournaments, so we don't even know. There's no way to get information, no phones, no nothing. So I and Roland will take a bus from the main campus. We'll go to where we call post office. Then we'll start scanning through newspaper pages. We'll be doing this week after week. We scan through newspaper pages to just see, oh, NBL is coming on in the next 3 weeks. All right, we go back to school, pack our bags. It's off to Lagos. So I decided to go play a match with Olomola. Now, I mean, I think he will qualify to probably be my first ever coach. Yeah. So I went to play a match with Olomola. What was the result of this game? I think I lost that game again. Lost that game in a classical Lopez. It was black. And then I played another game against Odion, and it was also, I think that game was in the draw. But that happened to be, Odion felt it was a novel position, but it was one of those positions the position I was discussing with Bishop B7, F5, you capture, and then the pawn captures all the way to G8, and it was like, oh, it felt it was good as we were playing over the board, but I knew theoretically that black was fine. The game ended in a draw, so I went to play NBL that year. I didn't win, but the results were very nice. I think I got a very, very reasonable result, much better than I would against chess masters, and it was not bad. So, because from the matches that I played, I felt, what's the point of reading all this while when you just go and play against this guy, play against Olomola after reading so many. This guy is not even reading much. All he's just doing is playing blood, check his books to see the lines, and then you come and they still blow you away. They still blow you away. But eventually, I got a very good NBL, and then I also made a very strong impression. Coach Ojeleye one day was just walking through the stadium, and he was talking with Dashe that he needed players for the 1996 festival. I think he had managed to convince Ogun State that if he was given professional athletes, because chess didn't have professional athletes at that period, that was about the first time. So if you could get players on contract, that he was going to deliver them medals. Okay, the state had approved, and they came to the stadium to look for players. He doesn't even have these chess players that he was going to that he was going to use. So I was walking out of the stadium that time, and then Dashe was like, what are you talking about? Look, that's a player right there. You're looking for players. That's a player coming down the aisle. So it was like, okay, so this is the deal that she has recommended. I mean, there's nobody that could argue with the words of Dashe in those days, till now anyway. So he gave me a contract. I think it was like was it 25,000 naira before you played? It was 96. 25,000 after you played, and then for every gold medal you get 50,000 naira. And that was quite a lot. And I was like, okay, getting a gold medal should not be too difficult. So I played this great NBL, and then we went to this festival with Ogun State. The dream team, they still call them. Myself, Dr. Odunaya, Tunde Shehu then, now Tunde Edwards. Ojele was the sixth man, non-playing captain. Captain playing, but he didn't play. Who else? That's four. There are two more people. Why am I not remembering my teammates anymore? Okay. Well, I'll probably remember their names as we go along. So I was registered on board. Fajimi Oluwole was on board 1 in that tournament. Fajimi will do some very interesting things in this tournament because he was also on a contract. The two of us were on contract, and then we had 3 other players that were not on contract, and then Coach Ojele was the number 6 player. So he was registered on board 1, and I'd won game 1, I'd won game 2, I'd won game 3. Fajimi had lost game 1, I'd lost game 2, and lost game 3. And the players were beginning to rumble in camp, like, what's the point of paying so much money to a professional athlete when he's not delivering better results than they are delivering? So, coach had called Fajimi that, what is the problem? Why are you doing this? You're stronger than this. And Fajimi is like, look, coach, I cannot play chess if I don't have money in my pockets. But you were giving 25,000 naira before we came here. And it's like, he left that at home. He didn't even bring it out. So coach had to find some money, counted maybe like 1,000 or 2,000 and gave it to him. And then he said, yes, now we're talking. So he went on. We went to the game the next day. And as the game was going on, Fajimi runs from the board, goes up the stage, and is doing push-ups on the stage. And he's pressing up like 20, 30. Then he runs back to the table and boom, 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 boom. He wins game 1, wins game 2, wins game 3, wins game 4, wins game 5, wins game 6. And every day he's collecting. Every time he wins, they give him some money, and he goes back and wins and wins and wins and wins. And then he won 7 out of the last 7 and got a gold medal. These were still the good days. 7 out of 7. 7 out of 10, not 7 out of 7. 7 out of 10 was very good for a gold medal in those days because it was a fight all through. So I was playing and I'd gotten 6 out of 6, which was the required amount for a gold medal. And I told Coach Ojele, okay, you said you wanted a gold. I've gotten you a gold medal. I'm calling it a tournament. And he's like, no way, because now Fajimi is doing well. Now between the two of us, we have 9 points. Yeah. The other guys are also playing exceptionally well. Not in gold medal territory, but they're playing so well. This is a chance for a team gold medal too. And I'm like, but yeah, let the team do it. I've done 6 out of 9, 6 out of 6. He's like, no, just keep on playing, because he felt I was invincible. I mean, I don't think there was even any perfect score in that tournament at that point. And then he was like, at the rate you are playing, oh boy, you can just close your eyes and just keep playing on. So we went into the next round, and then I got my first draw, which was enough in later years after that particular tournament, which was enough to knock you off gold medals before the TPR things came. So that happy point was enough. Now I have 6.5 out of 7, and you see what I'm saying? Guys, like, just don't worry, just keep on playing. So kept on playing, got 9.5 out of 10. Fajimi got 7/7. We got some silvers, and then we won the team event also. So we basically have like 3 gold medals there. Team, board 1, board 2, and then we played the blitz, and then I won the blitz also. So I managed to get 3 gold medals from the sports festival, which I don't know if any other male player has managed to do. But I remember after that tournament, Coach Peter was famed at saying, look, oh boy, nobody will do this again, that it will never, ever happen in the chess world. And I'm like, why? It's not because of strength, but he will make sure that it doesn't happen. So yeah, we'll just make sure. So all these permutations and combinations came over, and at a point, you just can't drop half a point in the festival and win a gold anymore. It became very, very bad for like 20 years or so after that. Okay, so that was probably the first record. Also managed to win the team gold with the University of Ilorin. I think I also won my board gold. This was in was this in Kano? Yeah, the team won in Kano. So that was also a great year for the team. Maybe I'm just lucky. I find a way of playing. I find a way of playing with the team that just does a great deal. So I got my first invitation to the national team to Cairo. We played for the African Team Championship in Cairo. That was my first play for the national team in Egypt. Played with Fola Akintola. It used to be such a huge thing then. We landed at the airport and we were greeted with cheers of Akintola, Akintola, because Fola Akintola had gone to Egypt. I think was a couple of years before, and they had just outplayed some of the strongest Egyptian players. That was when they became IM. And so when we got back to the tournament, it was just these stories. I hope I'm not boring you with
No. We're actually enjoying this gist. Actually,
it's a lot of stories.
We need them. We needed them, please.
Oh, and then we got to the games, and Folidon wasn't playing as well as he used to, and so the songs were changed a bit to, instead of Akintola, we now had the song Akintola. Every single game they're losing. Come on, Akintola. So anyway, that went. Odion did very well in that tournament. I think he won a gold medal. Got a very nice win against Tisir Muhammad in a very blocked position. I think it was an exchange down, or was it a piece down? And then he just kept the position blocked. Played some very, very, very strong maneuvers, opened the position at the right time, won the game. On the team also was IM Oladapo Adu.
Yeah, he just left here actually. Dapsy just left here right
now. Okay. Bayo Babalola was also on that team, and I think Fashe Iton, was also on the team. It was a very nice moment. Then played the first Olympiad in '98 in Kalmykia. I think. Wait. Was Kalmykia '96 or '98? Not too sure, because I knew there was one Olympiad that we couldn't go for because funds. Everybody had their bags packed at the national stadium. We're waiting for the last
96.
minute.
I think probably 96.
Yeah, we were waiting for the last minute funds to arrive, but the monies didn't come through, and then we had to pack our bags and go home. I had a similar experience for the World University Games. We were waiting, and I remember that one was the day that Chris O'Hare equalized against Russia. The miracle of Daman. That was that very day, because I was listening. I was sick in the bus as I was going back home. I was down with a fever, but I could still hear that very ringing in my head. So the first Olympiad was quite interesting. In that tournament, Odion also made gold medal. ahead of Ivan Chuk and Sergei Movsesian.
Yeah.
But there were a lot of stories that came from that, surrounding that. But the important thing was actually that due to logistical reasons, we basically had to leave the tournament one round early.
Wow.
And I think we were supposed to play against Iraq, and the players had refused to schedule to play the game earlier. So we had to play the game and from the tournament all go to the airport. And unfortunately, now they know that we're running against time. So they just kept on waiting for departure time to come close. So they refused to move. I remember that I was playing my game and my opponent I was trying to keep it as tight as possible, but the guy who just refused to move. So once they called that, look, we have to go. So I walked out of the hall. So as I walked out of the hall, I knew he would have made a move. So he made a move. I came back and I made my move, and then he started thinking again. so I had to just abandon the game and let it go. I think we met Iraq a few Olympiads later, and we were able to exact some revenge. So it was also quite funny because the guys that played the last round, they met us. Okay, we left Kalmykia, and we're in Moscow. But the guys that waited and finished the round, finished the closing ceremony, I think the day after, they still came and met us sitting at the airport in Moscow.
Jeez.
Waiting for a connection to Brussels.
Wow.
So yeah, so we're just there. And a lot of Nigerians had bought a lot of things. So we had these huge baggage piles right behind us. And then we had players just sitting down in the lobby for over 24 hours. No connection. We're just sitting there waiting for people that finished their games, finished the closing ceremony, and then came back and met us at the airport and left us there again.
Jeez.
So yeah, but eventually we got a move to Novotel Moscow, which was quite nice. That was a very nice hotel. So we got a move to Novotel Moscow and then on to Brussels and back home. And then the whole saga of the Olympiad gold medal that we could not collect and eventually getting lost and all kinds of drama. So this was 96.
Yep.
Now to the stories of the national championship. While I was playing NBL and like I said, I was getting some good results, I've still not been able to win the national championship. And I was like, okay, so what will be required? So I went to look at the history of all the national champions that we've had. Now, I used to have a book then that I used to call my doghouse. If you beat me in a game, I used to have my records of the games there. Then I keep that in my doghouse, and I keep a separate analysis page for you, or separate analysis. I analyze your profile, your character, your attitude. Do you like to attack? Do you like to defend? How would you play? Like, I know that Shea would love to defend. So when I met him in, was it Nepal? I sacrificed 2 pieces for 4 pawns and played in an attacking manner and won the game. People will be like, oh, it's positional. No, I can adjust, but it's just the one that I favor. I'll play in any manner the game dictates. So I have this book that I used to keep a record of all my games. Like I had a game against Babalola when I was still a very young junior of my first Masters tournament, and he had played the Scotch opening, and I'd looked at the position. I knew all the history. Kasparov was playing the white side then, but I was defending because Karpov was playing the black side pretty well. So I defended, I played well, and the position was totally equal. And spectators then, things weren't this terrible then. Spectators will come and comment, and they'll be like, Big B, give the boy a draw. And Big B will laugh, and they'll be like, no, yes, it's equal, but I will cheat him. And he did. He went on to win the game. He went on to win that game, and he I don't know, whether it was a miracle, whether it was magic, he went on to win the game. And then the years later, I mean, I had him in this end game. I mean, now I'm sitting like King Kong now. I will still come back to this. So I'm sitting like King Kong now. All those training years ago began to kick in, things that I didn't even know that I knew. I began to just play them like it was second nature, things that I never even remembered where I got them from. I just know that, oh, I just know this, I just know that, I just know this. I just knew how to handle these things. It was just like second nature. And then I got this end game against Babalola. I had triple pawns. You know, the pawns were, there was a pawn on C7, a pawn on C6, a pawn on C5. And they were supposed to be very weak, but I had like 3 open files that I could use in compensation. And I was using the rooks. It was a 4-rook endgame, and I was using the rooks along these open files, and it was finding it very difficult to capture any one of the pawns because the rooks kept on making threats, and eventually it was like, okay, draw. And I smiled and I was like, big V, I will cheat you. I will cheat you. If you remember all those years when you cheated me, I will cheat you. Eventually I won the game, and okay, so I kept him in the doghouse for a very long time because I was like, I kept on, it would be like, why are you trying to win this position? And I'm like, well, bros, right now, me too, I'm winning everything. Don't be offended, I'm winning everything. And it could be very, very frustrating. I think there was a game I played against Tosin. One day, it was totally winning. It was like a piece of me from the opening. But I just felt, okay, the idea with chess is that if you keep on playing the game, if you keep the game close enough, you're always going to have your chance. Chances will come. Everybody sleeps. Everybody. Doesn't matter whether you're a grandmaster or, yeah, sometimes, I mean, these days people are playing very, 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 very close to perfect games. In those days, when we didn't really have computers and things to help, everybody sleeps. Even today, we still sleep. So there will always be a chance. And I'm always looking out for those chances. Just keep it as tight as possible. Keep it as close as possible. And I know that eventually the opponent is going to give you a chance. And I'm always waiting for these chances. I'm always just there, just waiting. Doesn't matter whether it's on move 1, could be on move 1, could be on move 2, could actually even be before we start the game. Could be a question of how afraid you are of the game. Could be a question of how eager you are to win the game. Could be a question of, it could be any question, it could be anything. It could be the psychology, it could be the position, it could be anything. I'm just waiting for anything that just, you know, changes the objective evaluation. Whether you think, oh, you should win when you shouldn't, whether you think you should draw when you should win. I just try and look at everything together to try and match this up. Okay, so back